Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Friday, May 9th, 2025. I am Dave Biddle. I'll be joined by Jonah Booker in just a moment. A bunch of stuff to get into. We're going to lead off talking about the situation up north. We're less than a month away from Michigan having their committee on infractions, basically the trial. It's really just a hearing, but they're gonna find out their fate. It's June 6th and 7th, the 2-day hearing, and some people think Michigan's going to get the hammer. Some people think it's going to be a slap on the wrist. Is it going to be somewhere in between? I know it's two Ohio State guys talking about, but we're going to try and be realistic about this. What do we really think is going to happen to Michigan when they have this? I mean, they're facing 6 level 1 violations. Sherrone Moore, they just self-imposed a 2-game suspension for a level 2 violation. Level 1 violations are the most serious. Michigan self-imposed a 2-game suspension. It's going to get a lot worse than that. I don't think the hammer is going to drop. I don't think the national title is going to get taken away from them. I'm curious to get what Jay Book thinks about that. And then we're going to get into some of the stuff I talked about on Wednesday with some of the odds. I'm curious to get Jay Book's thoughts on the Big Ten odds to win the Big Ten championship, to win the national championship, and then Heisman odds. We're going to get into all that. Before we do that, I'll let you guys know about our good friends over at Brunt. Look at these boots. Look at these boots. Look at these Brunt boots. Brunt has designed the best work boots on the planet. I'm not exaggerating. I mean, they have designed boots that withstand the toughest job sites while feeling as comfortable as your favorite sneakers. They also look great. So even podcasters like me, I can throw them on with jeans and people are like, wow, where'd you get those boots? I said, Brunt is where I got the boots. And you guys can get a good deal from Brunt. These are the most comfortable work boots you will have ever tried. Like I said, they also deliver performance on the job and they're extremely comfortable. For a limited time, our listeners get $10 off at Brunt with code Bucknuts at checkout. Just head to bruntworkwear.com, use code Bucknuts, and you're all set. Brunt didn't just make a durable work boot. They reinvented comfort for the hardest workers out there. Again, for a limited time, our listeners get $10 off at Brunt by using code Bucknuts at checkout. Just head to Brunt Workwear and use code Bucknuts, and you're all set. After you purchase, they will ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. These are one call away, one click away for you guys. And you get $10 off. They do have other styles though. That's the one I picked. Dan Rubin and I, we need heavy duty work boots for podcasting. But like I said, they look great and they're comfortable. All right. Speaking of looking great, there's Jay Book. Good to see you on a Friday as always, my friend.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing good, man. I've got work boots. Life is good. Okay, I'm going to get into the Michigan stuff first.
All right.
Again, like I said, to lead off, I know we're two Ohio State guys talking about this. So if you're like a neutral observer watching this, you're probably, oh, yeah, this is going to be really realistic. But I do want to, if you and I are just sitting around, shooting the stuff at like a baseball game or something, and we're just talking privately about this, what would we say to each other? I'm curious to get your thoughts first and foremost. So the hearing is less than a month away. It's a 2-day hearing. What do you think is going to happen roughly? You don't get to get like specific. Hammer, slap on the wrist, somewhere in between.
I think it's going to be somewhere in between. I mean, there's a running list out there right now, Dave, of coaches from that whole era of Michigan who has either been fired or suspended. With the Sherrone Moore 2-game suspension, we're now up to 18 different staff members from that staff who has either been charged criminally for actions or they've been in trouble with the NCAA. So when you look at it from that picture globally, Dave, at what point do you ask yourself, is this lack of institutional control? I mean, there has never been a program in all of college football with 18 different guys who were on the staff getting in trouble. Like it will go down as one of the dirtiest programs during that era in college football history. There's no arguing it. I know Michigan fans are going to say there's no cheating. There was no proof to anyone known. However, when you have that many guys getting in trouble, it to me is the dirtiest program. Now, what will the NCAA do? I don't think they're going to vacate wins. They can't vacate the national championship because the NCAA doesn't run the national championship. So I think they're probably looking at a situation to where Sherrone Moore can be deemed a repeat offender because keep in mind he got suspended 1 game for Burgergate, 2 games now. And then you look at all of the other coaches, they've been hit with show causes. There's a very good chance here, Dave, that this might be the last year for Sherrone Moore. I was listening to the Mike Valenti show out of Detroit, and one of the big poll questions for the radio audience to call in was, do you think Michigan State with Jonathan Smith, who's really struggling up there, and Sherrone Moore, do you think both programs, Michigan and Michigan State, will be without coaches in 2026? And I thought that was fascinating that they're looking at it down the barrel saying, hey, there may be a situation where we're both looking for new coaches in 2026, because if Sherrone Moore is hit with a show cause, why would you bother keeping him around at this point? I actually think Michigan probably settled. That program probably deserved a national look from some high profile coaches. So I think you might be looking at show cause here. The other one is a bowl ban, which could be very detrimental to their program, a multi-year bowl ban. Because when we looked at it with Ohio State, that was the one thing that we were asking for Gene Smith at the time. It's like, man, just take the bowl ban. Who cares about a terrible Gator Bowl or something that they were going to go play in at the time?
Yep.
And Gene was hell bent, was like, no, we got to play in a bowl. And probably hindsight, that cost Ohio State a national championship, Urban Meyer's first year. But now in today's era, if you give them a multi-band bowl, that roster is going to jump ship. I mean, they're going to be depleted. They are already claiming that they're suffering from recruiting, negative recruiting. So some type of recruiting sanctions are going to be handed down. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at, Dave. I just don't see people in the comments asking like no vacated wins. I don't see the NCAA vacating the wins, even though they theoretically I think they should. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with your overreaching point. I am somewhere in the middle. I don't think they're going to get the proverbial hammer, which to me would entail, what does the hammer entail? That would entail taking away the national championship. That would entail, years of victories taken away. That would entail multiple years of a bowl ban. Obviously, fines. Nobody cares about the fines. Michigan's got plenty of money. They're going to have to be dealing with a bigger settlement than that for sure, for something else. So, yeah, I think it's going to be closer to the hammer than a slap on the wrist, but it's going to be somewhere in between. I do think they're going to get probably a postseason ban and some wins taken away, but I don't think they're going to get the national championship taken away. Do you agree with that? Do you think they're going to get the national championship taken away or no?
No, I don't think they're going to get that taken away. To me, Dave, overall, it's actually kind of hilarious because sitting back here basking in the national championship and watching and watching all of this and seeing how defensive the Michigan faithful are on Twitter X, like trying to defend all of this. And if you've noticed this past week, all of their insiders have been having complete meltdowns. It's been glorious.
Yes.
And as a Buckeye, it's been so fun just watching it because you see everybody in college football looks at this program the same way that Ohio State fans have been looking at it. Like, that is a dirty, corrupt program. And they have been for so long. They always wanted to pride themselves as the leaders and best. In the end, they were probably one of the dirtiest of all time. And now you're starting to see other people outside of this little rivalry bubble looking at them for who they are. I mean, the meltdown from their side has been absolutely phenomenal this week because their whole thing that they're saying is that the people who were trying to fight it, who were talking tough, talking big, like, hey, we got an army of lawyers on speed dial. We'll just sue the NCAA to oblivion. We're going to fight this with tooth and nail. Now they're saying those same people, quiet as a church mouse. You can't hear a word from those people who were talking big at the very beginning, and their insiders are panicking because they're saying Michigan's bending the knee here. Like, what's going on? They're capitulating to the NCAA a month out before they go in front of this hearing, just so that they can try to earn some type of grace. Once you start seeing those guys panicking, the ones who were really talking tough, that tells you that they're afraid of what's coming down the pipeline, because you just don't preemptively strike like this with Sherrone if you weren't trying to get some type of grace from the NCAA. Because if you truly believe that the NCAA was toothless and they weren't able to do anything, you walk in there with your chin high with saying, hey, prove it. Prove what we did wrong. And at this point, the NCAA has said a long time ago that, hey, we have overwhelming evidence that there was some type of illegal activity as far as NCAA rules going on. So I just think that it looks like a situation to where they are trying to get out of here with minimum damage as possible. And here's the thing with them, Dave, before we move on, they're stupid. And I'm not afraid to say that, because if they would have just went in there and cooperated with the NCAA, they probably would have put this to bed a year ago, and the program would have been moving forward. You had 5 losses last year. If you would have just said, hey, let's take our medicine, get this done with, come to some type of settlement, take our 5 losses, we keep it moving. And this year it's a fresh start with a brand new quarterback, and then a new coaching staff somewhat, because Moore made some changes on that side. But no, they wanted to drag this thing out. We wanted to fight it tooth and nail. We wanted to cooperate. And the funniest thing, before we move on, is the insiders are saying the only thing that they're trying to make an argument is that Connor Stallion's mother was the one who did in scouting for the Purdue game. Like, I've never even heard anything about his mom like doing some type of scouting. I always thought about this guy doing a vast network of spies running all around.
What do you make of Santa Ono, their president, all of a sudden? While all of this is happening, all of a sudden he just out of the blue signed a 7-year contract, last year, extension, maybe earlier this year. He bolts for Florida. I'm not big into coincidences, man. That's got to be related. He must be getting off a sinking ship.
I think it could be 2 parts. I think it could be one that there's been a lot of smoke that he didn't agree with the board of trustees. I think that could definitely be part of it. But I absolutely agree. You would be very naive to think that this whole sanctions thing and the issues with the NCAA wouldn't play a part, or a minimum be in the thought. I mean, you look at the Michigan endowment, it's 10 times what Florida is. Michigan is undoubtedly one of the better jobs for a president compared to Florida. And this guy deciding like, hey, I'm out of here, man. I'm getting the heck out of Michigan. I'm going down to the sunny side of Florida, and I don't need to deal with the ramifications here. Now, if we go in here, Dave, and they say we're just absolutely going to nuke this program, considering all of the allegations and the suspensions compiling, I mean, can Michigan bounce back from this, Dave? I mean, are we talking about Brady Hoke, Rich Rod era of Michigan football that could be coming down the pipeline?
Yeah, I think that's very possible for a brief period of time. I think that eventually they'll be back. I remember thinking, is Penn State ever going to be back? Obviously, they're not like a national champion. Well, they got to the semifinals last year. I guess that's a contender. But after the Sandusky stuff, I'm like, are they ever going to be back to like even being that 3rd best team in the Big Ten, or however you want to look at them? And they took them a while, but they got there. So yeah, I think Michigan would get back, but I think they're going to have some rough years though. They're going to have some rough stretches, like the 3 years of Rich Rod or 4 years of Brady Hoke. I definitely think that's going to happen.
But keep in mind though, that was a totally different era. When Penn State was making their comeback from the Joe Pa situation, there was no unlimited transfer portal. There wasn't the whole NIL aspect of it. The one thing that's going on with Michigan right now, and kind of reading what their people have been saying, they are absolutely struggling with recruiting to the point to where they're so unsure about what's coming down the pipe as far as these sanctions and potential recruiting violations, as well as kind of the House Oversight Committee thing with NIL. They're not even talking any numbers, period, to their recruits right now. So when you look at the recruiting class right now, it's bottom of the barrel in the Big Ten, and a lot of that is because so much uncertainty. So if they get hit with a hammer by the NCAA, I mean, it may not be just complete nuke like a lot of Ohio State fans, but anything remotely that could be detrimental to the program, it could be a major step back because now if I believe if something happens with the NCAA, it could give a situation to where it opens up a window for a lot of those players to enter the transfer portal, and then you start talking about, hey, we can't really start talking about numbers, scholarship reductions. We don't know what our target's going to be. It's constantly a moving target financially. It could be a situation to where they're now falling behind an expanded Big Ten because you look at Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon. Can USC get off the mat? They're having one of the top classes right now in the country. And then you add in Washington, who's going to be an absolute scrappy dog out west. It's going to be tough sledding for Michigan, Dave, and I'm not sad to see it.
I'm not sad to see it either. No, and especially they've been in such denial and just like, nothing's going to happen. That's why they're freaking out because they know if Michigan is self-imposing a 2-game suspension, it's hilarious. They're trying to do it week 3 and 4. NCAA is not going to go for that. You can't pick and choose when you get your suspension. Right. It's like your parents ground you. Yeah, but I'm still going to go to the party. I'm going to be grounded Tuesday night, right? You're grounded Friday night. Like you're not grounded you don't get to pick when you're grounded. The whole thing, and you're right. The insiders that have been freaking out because they know the dates of the hearing. They know something's coming down the pike after they just absolutely just were in denial for this longest time. It's pretty funny. All right, we'll move on. I do want to ask you about some of these odds that I got into on Wednesday's show: Big Ten championship, national championship, and Heisman. Before we do that, I'd be remiss if I didn't get your thoughts on the Jim Knowles situation. His tell-all, so to speak. We're only hearing one side of the story. What'd you make of Jim Knowles' comments to ESPN? Especially him. He was the one that called Penn State 2 days after the national championship game. He's asking for a raise the week of the national championship game.
I thought that it made Jim look bad on his end, the way he explained it, because the one thing has been driving me absolutely crazy. They've been talking about this kind of like on ESPN and College Football XM Radio, different pods I've heard talking about this Jim Knowles situation. And everybody is like, why didn't you just give him a raise? He's one of the best coordinators in the country. Nobody fails to realize this man literally just signed an extension less than a year before that. So Jim is over here wanting another extension on top of what he just got. Now, Dave, correct me if I'm wrong. Ohio State has never renegotiated an assistant coach or a coach's contract right in the middle of the season. Their protocol is always you look back all the way to Andy Geiger as the athletic director and stuff. Any type of contracts is always done after the season. And so for Jim Knowles to get mad that his contract wasn't done before the national championship is batshit crazy. Like we're talking about, hey, Ryan Day's fighting for his life. In his mind, we're preparing, we're gearing up to battle. We're trying to bring a national championship trophy back to Columbus. And you got to be kidding me. You really trying to talk to me about a contract extension when I'm fighting and preparing for the biggest game of my life? Like that right there to me, just like, man, that doesn't even sound great. That doesn't even sound great. It's like if you're in corporate America and your company is on the brink of closing one of the biggest deals in that leadership's career, and right before you get ready to go into that meeting, you walk in there talking about, hey man, can I get a raise? Like, can we talk about this after we close the deal and get it done and we can all celebrate? And then at that point, let's get you your money. And then the fact that he didn't give them the opportunity, 28 hours after the national championship, you pick up the phone yourself and call James Franklin. And keep in mind, I wouldn't be surprised if rumors start to circulate that he also called Oklahoma, because you remember Oklahoma was in the mix as well. And a lot of people thought that it was going to be a done deal to Oklahoma. it's just weird, man. Weird timing. The fact that he even wanted another big extension after he just signed one, it's just weird all the way around.
Yeah, it sounds like the pressure got to him, and I think he never really got over Ryan Day, like undressing
Yeah.
him after the first Oregon game. Again, I don't know for sure what Ryan Day said, but I've heard that he, had some choice words for the defensive staff after that first Oregon game. And look what happened after that. Turned into the best defense in the country. All right, before we get Jay Book's thoughts on the different odds that I brought up, I'll let you guys know about Gooder. And you guys can we'll see how long it takes me to lose these. But I haven't lost them yet. Gooder. Why Gooder? Why do you want Gooder sunglasses? Because they're stylish sunglasses. They start at just $25 a pair. You get a 1-year warranty, 30-day free returns. As I say, you won't need any of that, but it's good it's there. Features and key benefits include they are lightweight and comfortable, 100% polarized. They look great. No slip, no bounce. They have vibrant colors, sleek styles. There's a pair of Gooders for every personality, designed for both everyday wear and active individuals that love to run, hike, bike, sit at baseball games, and more. If you need a new pair of sunglasses, Gooder is giving Bucknuts Morning 5 listeners free shipping. Go to gooder.com/Bucknuts. Use code Bucknuts for free shipping. Gooder offers 30-day money-back guarantee and 100% satisfaction. Again, that's gooder.com/Bucknuts. Use code Bucknuts for free shipping. There you go. Jay Book wanted me to keep him on for the rest of the show, but I don't think I'm going to do that.
All right. Stun on them, Dave. Get your stunner glasses on.
Love it. Stunting like my daddy. All right, here we go. I'm going to get your thoughts on this. All right, here's the odds. I'm going to put it on the bottom of the screen. I'll say it for the people who are just listening. Ohio State, these are the odds to win the Big Ten championship. And it's interesting. The top 3 teams are bunched together. Then there's a gap for the 4th team, and then there's another big gap. All right, here we go. Waiting for it to come through again. Ohio State is your favorite, plus 210 to win the Big Ten championship. Ohio State plus 210, right behind Ohio State. Number 2, Penn State at plus 250. Right behind them at number 3, Oregon plus 270. All those teams are bunched together. Pretty big gap to number 4, Michigan plus 850. 5th, tied, Illinois, Indiana, Nebraska, USC at 3,500. I think Illinois is a little underrated there.
Yeah.
9, Iowa, 4,500. Washington, 6,500. Your thoughts on those odds, sir?
Yeah, it's fascinating that Illinois, you just mentioned it. That's the one that really jumps out. I would definitely have them over Michigan. That's a way better value when you look at what Illinois brings to the table with 18 starters, some players that they added from the portal, their entire offensive line and quarterback back. That's in a team that came off 10 wins that beat South Carolina that a lot of people thought should have been in the playoffs last year. Them at plus 3,500. That's a great value. I might actually have to go throw some couch change on that one, Dave. But I will say this: Ohio State being the favorite doesn't surprise me. And we know what type of talent is in that room. If they can figure out the quarterback situation and the defense can kind of hold serve. I was thinking this to myself, Dave, and want to get your thought. I think this offense is going to be so good that the defense, I don't think they need to be a top 10 defense to get back to make a deep playoff run. I'm thinking that if you can get a top 20 defense out of Matt Patricia here, you're talking about, one of the top defense still in all of college football when you're on the brink of getting back to the playoff. I think that if they can get a top 20 defense, they can still make a deep run. I don't think with the talent that they have, it's going to require a top 5 total defense type of effort that we were looking at last year. What are your thoughts?
I completely agree. I think last year the defense obviously the offense was very good. 2,000-yard backs, Jeremiah Smith, Emeka Egbuka, both over 1,000 yards. Will Howard, what he did. Let's be clear, it was a very good offense. The offensive line played well. Before the injuries, they were a Joe Moore Award semifinals, and they played well even after the injuries. But the defense carried this team to the national championship, the number 1 defense in the country. So I completely agree with you. I think the offense will be, despite losing the running backs, I think overall the offense will be better, which might be kind of crazy to say, losing those guys. But I think because this offensive line is stacked, even losing Trey and Q, I really like the stable of running backs. Lotus, the best tight end room I can remember at Ohio State this coming year, at least on paper. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I agree with you. I think the defense will still be good, but it doesn't even have to be top 10. It needs to be top 20, I think, but I don't think it has to be top 10.
It's fascinating because because you got
Go
the
ahead. Sorry.
odds there at Ohio State as the favorite to win the Big Ten, but Penn State's probably going to start the season as the number one team in college football.
Or Texas.
Yeah, with Texas right there, 1-2. Isn't it great that Ohio State's get probably two top five matchups in the shoe this year if Penn State can hold serve all the way until November 1st. But here's the thing, Dave, and I'll ask you this: who has more pressure to win a national championship this year? And I did a Twitter poll on this, and the results were fascinating. Steve Sarkisian, that's Texas, with Arch Manning and his $40 million roster, or James Franklin going all in with his roster retention and the massive contracts that he gave to his assistants. I mean, it was pretty split. I mean, we had over 3,000 votes, and 51% went to Sarkisian, and James Franklin just a shade under 49%. That's a tough one because you can go back and forth and you look at the pressure under Steve because you're saying, hey, you really didn't develop Quinn Ewers. Now you have the highest paid roster with the next coming and Arch. Is the pressure on you or James? Because you look at Penn State, this is their window. If Penn State can't get it done this year, beat Ohio State, get to win the national championship, I don't know if it's ever going to happen for them.
I think if you and I had to debate this, like for money, I would say just put the two schools in a hat and draw them out. I could make an argument either way. Like it's almost impossible because I could. So I was almost going to say, well, it's probably Sark. Like, well, no, I mean, it's probably Frank. No, it's probably Sark. I could go either way on that. It's a good poll when your poll results are 51-49. If you do a poll that's like 95-5, like that's probably not a good poll. Yeah, that's a good one, man. That is a good one. I missed that on Twitter. I probably would have abstained because I don't know what all of the above. I don't know.
I don't think there's a wrong choice.
There's not.
But you look at Penn State. I think it's going to come down to Drew Aller, man. Like, what type of step does he take? Like, there's no way. I mean, they've added some pieces as far as the wide receivers. You can't have a situation to where you're in a playoff game and not one pass is completed to a wide receiver. So that right there has to be rectified. There's no way Penn State can win a national championship playing that way, especially when you lose Tyler Warren at tight end, a first round guy. I'm starting to lean towards Texas, Dave, and because I've never had faith that Big Games James can actually win a big one. I just don't think James Franklin can win the big game until he does. I'm in the camp. Prove it to me, James.
All right, let's look at the odds to win the national championship. Ohio State's the favorite, plus 600. Texas 650. Penn State 7-1. Georgia 7.5-1. Oregon 8.5-1. Those top five are bunched together. Notre Dame is 12-1. Bama and Clemson tied at 14-1. LSU at 18-1. What jumps out at you there, my man?
I think Notre Dame. Is a squad that returns a lot this year. Obviously, they need to make sure that CJ Carr is going to be the guy. I think they return pretty much their entire offensive line as well. They have a lot of solid pieces on the back end. So Notre Dame is a value right there at plus 1,200. But man, Ohio State getting the love once again as the favorites to win the national championship. I tell you, if Ryan Day runs it back to back, Dave, they're not going to be able to tell us a darn thing on Twitter X or anything because running it back to back with two different type of quarterbacks here, and then you look at what will still be returning for next year in 2026. I mean, I know I'm getting ahead of myself, man, but you're talking about a dynasty, Dave. I mean, if he runs it back to back.
For the first time in school history, Ohio State would be back-to-back champs. He'd be the only coach other than Woody Hayes to win multiple national championships at Ohio State. It would be insane. We'll still be basking till the end of time if that happens. I'm here for it. Let's just stay basking. All right, one more thing before I get you out of here real quick. Heisman odds, Arch Manning and Garrett Nussmeier are your favorite, 8-1. Cade Klubnik, 9-1. Jeremiah Smith, fourth best odds to win the Heisman, 12-1. Julian Sayin, third or fifth best odds to win the Heisman, 13-1. What do you make of that, my man?
Fascinating. I mean, the pressure is on Arch, man. And that's why I was talking about Sark earlier. Like you're talking about the Heisman odds favorite as your quarterback. If he doesn't perform at a high level, it's going to be a lot of questions surrounding Texas and their quarterback development. Nussmeier, he's a dog, man. He can absolutely spin it. I can see him being right up there in the history that LSU has had at the quarterback play and their Heisman candidates. They've fared fairly well. Cade Klubnik is an interesting one, Dave, because I think Clemson's going to be really good this year. I was looking at Thomas Shea's way too early mock draft, and he actually has like four guys from Clemson's front seven going in the first round of next year's draft. And you're talking about a playoff team. The ACC's kind of watered down, not a very good conference. Clemson should run through that conference, and if they are a top 3 team and he's playing fairly well, I can definitely see him being a Heisman finalist. Jeremiah Smith, he's going to have the name recognition. He's going to have the hype surrounding him. What type of year do you think Jeremiah needs to put up to be a Heisman finalist? I mean,
he's got
that's
to
going
get
to be tough.
it's not going to happen, but I hope it does. But he's got to get like 2,000 yards receiving.
Yeah,
And like they're, how they're doing it now. Now maybe they won't this year because they were huddling up, they're making the games a little shorter. They were
right.
relying on their defense, they knew it was a long season. Plus, Carnell Tate's got to eat. Brandon Ennis is going to get his. Both running backs are going to get theirs. The tight ends
Max
are going to get a
Clare.
little love. What's that?
Max Clare's going to get his.
Max Clare's going to get it. So it's going to be and everybody, and JJ's going to have the attention of the opposing defense. Not that he didn't last year, but I just don't. I think it's awesome that he's has the 4th lowest odds to win the Heisman. It's so tough for a wide receiver to win it. I know Dante Smith won it not too long ago for Bama. I know, but it's a quarterback award usually.
Right.
But yeah, I think to answer your question, Jay Buck, I think he needs to get around 2,000 receiving yards and a ton of touchdowns.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head when you said he's going to garner the attention. I think you're going to see a lot of programs trying to bracket JJ with a safety over top because there's not a corner in college football that can check him one-on-one. So he's going to see a lot of double coverage there. But Julian's saying, I mean, basically Vegas is saying they anticipate he's going to be the starting quarterback over Lincoln Keyholtz. I mean, there could be some value there for Julian, Dave. I mean, when you think about it, because if we're projecting Ohio State to make a run, they're the odds-on favorite to be the national champions. If Ohio State makes that run, that tells you that Julian is having an outstanding year. And you just named off all the weapons that he's going to have at his disposal. So if Ohio State is right there and they're the number 1 team, they're making a deep run, and they're properly utilizing all of those weapons, that means that Julian Saints having an outstanding year. So it wouldn't be bad to throw a little bit of money on him just in case.
We're going to parlay Illinois to win the Big Ten and Julian Sain to win the Heisman. No, I'm kidding. I do like that. Like you were saying, I like that value for Illinois. I don't think they're going to win the Big Ten, but 3,500 for Illinois when I don't know how Illinois is tied with. First of all, I think Illinois is going to be better than Michigan this year. Ohio State has to go to Illinois. They have to go to Michigan too, but they shouldn't be tied with Indiana and USC and Nebraska, in my opinion, at 3,500. But all right, my man, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say I would like to see if there's a bet if Illinois can make the playoffs. I wonder what those odds would be.
I'm waiting for those to come out. Those should be coming out in the next couple of weeks. Where you can just bet on teams to make the playoff. I love that. You can parlay that. You can pick up to 9 teams. That's going too far. 9 of the 12.
Hold on, Dave. Remember, I was telling you, I was like, we got a new dog because our other dog passed away in the summer.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me grab him.
We got to. We got dog. We love dogs on the Bucknuts Morning 5. Oh, look at that. What's up, my man?
This is Pickles.
Hi, Pickles. Hi, Pickles. Oh, what an adorable dog.
But he looks exactly like our other dog. He's over here snoozing. My son named him Pickles, but he was actually born around the same time as our other family dog who was 18 years old, passed away. And we went to a rescue because we were going to foster, and we saw this guy and was like, oh man, it has this is crazy how uncanny both of them look. Can you say hi? He's looking like, what's going on?
Oh, that's awesome. Making his podcast debut. I love it.
He's
Pickles.
making his debut, man.
Pickles, you rock. I love that. I'm glad you brought Pickles on the show. This is a dog-friendly show. We love dogs.
I
We
know.
love J-Book. J-Book, thank you, my friend. Great stuff
All
as
right,
always.
hey, we'll talk to you next weekend. Hey, I think I'm in for that Vegas trip for the Big Ten.
Cool. Perfect. That's awesome.
So we'll have to talk logistics for like a live show and all that stuff.
Absolutely. I love it. Mandalay Bay.
Mandalay Bay.
Yes, sir. All right, my man. You have a good weekend.
All right. Take care.
Thanks, J-Book. All right. He's the man. Didn't mean to keep him that long, but hey, bonus J-Book is good stuff. Really appreciate you guys tuning into the show. Keep supporting our sponsors. We love that. Brunt work boots, Gooder sunglasses. You guys are supporting our sponsors, and I love that. Thanks again to J-Book. Absolutely love doing the shows on Friday with J-Book, and love the fact that we have such a big audience in our live chat. And thank you to all of you, and thanks to everybody who's just listening to the podcast-only version. We appreciate you guys very much. All right, everybody, have a great rest of your day. Go Bucks. Still basking.